Well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, needless to say, this team really impressed me on all facets of the game. Defense, offense, the rushing offense, passing offense. Now, of course, we lost Quinn Ewers for 4 to 6 weeks. But I'm okay. Hudson Card did a really good job coming in there. I usually don't talk very good about Hudson Card, and yet this guy came into the game against the number 1 team in the nation and managed to keep us in it for 3 entire quarters. Hudson Card was 158 yards on 14 completions on 22 attempts. Obviously no touchdowns, but hey, no interceptions either.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Bijan Robinson wasn't much of a factor in this game, but that's okay because we're going to need him in the future, and we're going to definitely need him now, considering the fact that Quinn Ewers isn't there anymore. But I love the running back duo we have. Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson are...
I'd be willing to say they're 2 of the best running backs in all of college football, but that's just me.
Who's Bama again? I forgot. Were they the number 1 team in the nation? Were they supposed to beat us by 20? Isn't that what I said in the last video? Pretty sure that's what I said, right? Yeah, we can agree on that. I will say, I'll give kudos and I'll give props where props are needed and where props are well deserved. Nick Saban decided, you know what? My team lost, or, well,
Technically, they didn't lose.
but my team won, and they barely beat the Texas Longhorns, an unranked football team, and they beat them by 1 point, and were held to 20 points and scoreless in the second and third quarters of the ball game. And as soon as Texas loses that game, the players start throwing horns down. And Saban cut that out immediately. Receiving-wise, I was so excited for this game. I honestly walked into this Bama-Texas game, and I was like, man, we're fixing to get run over. Like, expectations were low. Expectations were very, very low. And, of course, you can't really enjoy watching a game when you know how it's going to change in the end. When you know Texas is playing a great first half against the Alabama Crimson Tide, but I kept saying this over and over again, Nick Saban is on the other side of the field, still play calling over there. And their quarterback is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. We were bound to lose that game at some point, even though we were winning for the majority of the fourth quarter. But I'll tell you something right now, man. I am okay. I should be sad. I should be mad.
Especially with the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are fixing to have one of the worst seasons that I can think back to remember.
But yeah, no, receiving-wise, I'm very interested because Hudson Card did okay with the football. He used his legs, or I guess his leg and a half, to get across the field and do what he needed to do to get the first down. There was like a play during that game that was like a 3rd and 15, 3rd and 19, something like that, and he tucked the ball and ran, and I thought, oh my gosh.
Hey, get out of here. This is my house.
He's fixing to get bulldozed by Alabama's defense. But no, he gets the first down. I just want to point out the one thing in this football game that excited me the most. And that's the Texas Longhorns defense. The Big 12, for as many years as I can possibly remember, has been a conference where football teams don't have great defenses in that conference. And yet here we are in week 2 of the 2022 season playing the number 1 team in the nation, the Alabama Crimson Tide. And the defense managed to grab 59 total tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 33 combined solo tackles. It was insane to watch that defense play. They were flying around, deflecting footballs, causing mayhem at the line of scrimmage, and the secondary really had no time to get around. I mean, well, The secondary had great time to get around. But the receivers for the Crimson Tide just could not manage to get open. Bryce Young, he threw for 213 yards and a touchdown, of course. But that only touchdown was really the one towards the end of the game. I kind of knew at that point that the game was started to take a turn in Crimson Tide's favor. But I felt really good, too, about where Texas was at. And let me tell you, I am so excited for this team. Once Quinn is healthy again and he comes back to the Longhorns, this is going to be one heck of a football team. The Big 12 is definitely a conference now that has some pretty good schools involved. You have Oklahoma State, you have Oklahoma, you have Baylor, which of course they got beat by BYU. Hello, Kansas is 2-0. Now I know we're not going to sit here and talk about Kansas, even though Texas lost to them last year. That was a different team. That 5-7 football team, probably one of the best 5-7 football teams in the nation, if not the best 5-7 football team in the nation. But this squad is different. This squad is more understanding of what Sarkisian is trying to do with this football team, and Gary Patterson has this defense on the absolute up. I cannot wait to see what kind of big games that Texas finds themselves in, and hopefully have a shot at winning. The last time that we beat Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry game was when Sam Ehlinger was quarterback, and of course we all remember that game. You think back to 2018, Sam Ehlinger absolutely went off that game. The Longhorns took down the originally ranked 7 Oklahoma Sooners 48-45 off of the leg of
Dicker! The kicker!
I loved it so much because Sam Ehlinger threw for 314 yards to 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, and he took control of that game. But that's not what we're here to talk about. That was a fantastic game by the Texas Longhorns. Sure, we didn't end up winning it in the end, and the key word there is didn't win. But at the same time, when you stop one of the greatest offenses in the entire league, one of the greatest college football dynasties from scoring more than 20 points in 4 quarters of football, and let alone not letting them score a singular point in the second and third quarter of the game, is absolutely phenomenal. And may I also add, Quinn Ewers, before he got injured, threw for 134 yards.
Hello there.
On 9 completions for 12 attempts. And let me just remind you, he didn't play a full first quarter of football before being injured, and he had already thrown over 130 yards on one of the best defenses in the league. Looking ahead, we've got UTSA coming up. Of course, this should be UTSA had a really good 2021 season, but looking at this matchup, I'm expecting for the Longhorns to turn this thing around and find a way to boost themselves, because now they're ranked in the top 25 after putting on one heck of a performance. Yeah, they lost the game, but when you've lost the game by 1 and it wasn't like you lost 40-39 or 45-44. You lost the game 20-19. Very low scoring. You kept them in it the whole time. If Hudson Card helps this team out and this defense keeps us in it the way they kept us in it against Alabama, this team should remain at 4-1 by the time that they see Oklahoma. They have UTSA, then they have Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, then they have West Virginia, who just got beat by Kansas, and then of course you're going to go on to play Oklahoma, which I'm okay with. That number 6 next to their name, just wait. It's going to be okay. I never want to say it's in the bag, but I feel really good about our chances in that game particularly. We may be able to have Quinn back for that game. And if we have Quinn Ewers at quarterback for that game, everything is going to change. I promise you. I'm really excited for the future of this program. Arch Manning is on the way in. Recruiting is through the roof. We had a few pretty good transfers over this offseason. It makes me feel a little bit better considering the Dallas Cowboys opened week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and lost that game 19-3. And they haven't lost a season opener since 2001.
Do you want to take a guess at who the team was that they played in 2001? I'll give you a hint. It was the same team.
Can you really expect to do that when the GOAT comes back after retirement, after just barely a month of retirement, and is like, yeah, I think I'm going to keep playing? We're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about this. After that kind of performance against Alabama, though, very excited. Hook 'em.